I know, yeah. I thought we might bring a whole dance crew next time and we can compete with the people behind us. Exactly. I have been warned, by the way, this microphone might cut out, and if it does, we'll just have to get really close and comfortable and have a bit of a chat. So we're doing optimized power platform adoption for SMEs and enterprise. Quick introduction, my name's Sam Bright, this is my colleague Jordan Brookes. We work for Bespoke XYZ. We are specialists in Microsoft Power Platform. We do training, consultancy and optimized roadmaps, large strategic deployments. In terms of clients we work from everything from about 5 employees up to about 50,000 employees, applications that are used by a single person or Power BI reports that are consumed by thousands. Just the objectives of today's session, which want to introduce you to the Power Platform, let you know what it's made up of. Address some real-world examples, which Jordan's going to cover, and just how and why to adopt the Power Platform. What is the Power Platform to begin with? Allows you to analyze data, build solutions, automate processes, and create virtual agents. It's very much a low-code, no-code platform. It's a low technical barrier for entry to empower citizen developers to actually do some of the legwork and actually create their own solutions for the company's problems or to breed efficiency. It's a general rule of thumb, an 80-20 split, that 80% of the project should be undertaken by citizen developers, and then only 20% of the strategic deployment should actually be done by companies like ourselves. It's very much about actually getting people at the coalface, working with these platforms and using them to solve day-to-day problems. It's very secure, obviously sits within the Microsoft tenant, so IT teams love it once it's been signed off as a platform. They don't have to sign off a new piece of software for every new solution they want to create. And it allows rapid innovation. It's very much a case of start small, MVPs, proof of concepts, and build up. And like I say, from the building up side of things, it's largely scalable. It tends to have a bit of a network effect that you'll deploy in one department and then allow other departments to utilize the reports, the outputs of these tools, and that subsequently starts to empower other system developers, and there's an organic growth within the organizations of the Power Platform. Just to address the four main components, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, and Virtual Agents. We won't be addressing the Virtual Agent side today because we were given 20 minutes, and as I'm sure you'll imagine, 20 minutes for Power Platform is not a huge amount of time. In regards to these solutions, they can work together to build and integrate to create, for example, Power BI embedded into an application and using Automate to draw in data, and also using virtual agents to power one main solution, or they can be used as standalone. You can build a management reporting deck in Power BI and back it as a business intelligence platform. I'll now hand you over to my colleague Jordan, who will just go through some use cases, some real-world examples of how it's used.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm just going to go into to start with Power BI. So probably the most common, well-known of the 4 applications in the Power Platform. We've got some embedded videos just to show you how it works, but really we're talking about sort of the route to adoption, how Power BI can be utilized, and the main benefits. So the key one, which is obvious through a business intelligence tool, is get to insights and faster. So actually being able to share, interact and collaborate means that within our teams, and again embedded within teams as well, is that we can start collaborating and getting into the details of the data much quicker than the old ways of actually taking information out, manually collating information and putting it into Excel reports. That sort of obvious older approach. And really it's just how can we collaborate more across the business. So it's working with other people to make sure we're effectively across the business making more informed decisions, getting data and insights to people quickly. So just as you'll see on the screen here, this should start. Yep. This is an example dashboard we put together, embedded within Teams, of a management performance for an SMB company. So we've got marketing information from Google Analytics, we've got sales information from Dynamics CRM, and we're overlaying the two to give us a new business dashboard, so that at management level we can see high level information about website traffic, new leads, new opportunities. But then when we can segment this report, and any report being within Power BI, into drilling into the detail of allowing us to have interactive reports, as you can see here, and also clicking using filters, slicers, to then drill into the details of the information. So you can see really interactive, really cool inbuilt features that are just native to the platform out of the box. And really it's how can we utilize this as a Microsoft product in our suite, so that we can get more analytics and insights to people quicker. The second example we're going to show you here on the screen is how to use publicly available data. So this is using land registry information. So this is house prices in England and Wales over the last 20 years, which is over 100 million rows of data. So customers we work with, we built this as a bit of a demo, but it allows people to start analysing the market, start seeing by postcode, country, town, of what the property market is doing at any one point in time, using the historic data trends. Importantly as well, it allows us to see that at the top level, the helicopter view, but also a key feature with Power BI and any business intelligence is drilling into the detail. So right-click functionality to drill through, looking at a specific postcode and really getting the answers to the key questions that the data holds within a few clicks, rather than manual consolidation, time-consuming, quite manipulative work of information. So they're examples of Power BI and Power BI dashboards. How do we, which is great if you've got a use case, but how do we identify in our businesses, how do we make Power BI work for us? So one of the key things that always comes up with us is people using Excel overly, where reporting and dashboards are used, especially across the organisation, from multiple different data sources. So downloading data from the finance, from your CRM, from your ERP system, usually goes to your finance or your ops teams. They manually collate that information in Excel, probably have to separate it into different months and months because of the size of it. And then usually it sits with a team of people or one or two people to then say, okay, we now need to apply loads of formulas and manipulation to that, so that we can then put it into some pivot tables and give our monthly reports. Which, a big problem with that is that usually it's within those people's heads, and then if that person leaves or is on holiday for 2 weeks, how do we get our reports? So we have to wait for them to come back. Whereas Power BI really does bridge that gap, and it takes that what's called, what Microsoft calls shadow IT out of the business, and that single point of failure, so that it becomes a scalable solution across the organisation.
Just to make one quick point in regards to adoption of Power BI, is a lot of people will start with a data source and see a dashboard like that and they think that's what I need to hit in day one, and it's not true. What you need to do is just start somewhere and actually create one graph and then use the rest of the dashboard to tell the same story. So you're not trying to bring in conflicting KPIs across Power BI. What you're trying to do is have one piece of focus, and the rest should be contextual information to allow you to kind of make decisions, be informed. The role of business intelligence here isn't to dictate what to do, it's to inform the people on the ground to make the correct decisions.
Thanks. Okay, so moving on to the second element of the Power Platform, so Power Apps. So the key takeaways from here is enabling innovation. Sam mentioned before the low-code, no-code development tool. It's targeted though not just for IT users or development professionals, also for business users. We'll show you again a demonstration shortly, but it takes away the complexity of traditional software development. It really is drag and drop, data connection. It's all very intuitive and familiar within the Microsoft platform. Alleviates IT pressure, so the gulf and the bottleneck of development. So there's other statistics that Microsoft bring out, which is the gulf in developers versus the speed at which people need applications. So the Power Platform is really in there to help speed up innovation and bring solutions to business quicker. And again, we touched on this, but it's scalable, governed and secure. So it's within the existing Microsoft tenant. IT teams love it because you don't have to go and install new custom code, new security and new compliance. It's all within the Microsoft environment, obviously. So the on-screen demo here is relating to a restaurant menu booking application. So this is a Canvas app, which is one of the three types of the Power Apps. Canvas app, which is essentially a blank canvas, so you can create anything on the screen here, as you'll see, inserting different images, different text, different menus. The second is what's known as a model-driven app, which is essentially built on the Dataverse. So, for example, a bolt-on to Dynamics, allowing you to enhance the first-party applications that Microsoft have. As you can see here, it's one of our team built this, and we sped the video up, but you can see it's all click and drag and alignment, and you can very easy to work with this platform. And again, connecting to data, straightforward, and really it's common, simple use cases for adopting this as a platform. This is a really good example, as we've experienced over the last 2 years, about everybody now has an app in a restaurant. This would be a great example of how we could go around that very, very quickly. Second of all, surveys, on-site surveys, where people would go, quantity surveyors go on site, complete a manual form, go back to their PC, type it into Word or Excel, and then it gets processed by an admin team. This can now all, native functionality, be available within a mobile application, iPad application, so you can now start using and adding rich data directly from the application, rather than the time-consuming way of going backwards and forwards of manual data entry from older ways of manual data collection. So that's the Power App example, and the third and final of this is Power Automate. So Power Automate is an if this then that process event-based trigger. What that means is that if something happens, then triggers something to do something else. So processes with 350 what's known as out-the-box triggers. So whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Dynamics, all of the different third-party applications, there are pre-built out-the-box connectors, so that when you're in Power Automate, you can build these automated flows and triggers to start processes. Really, the key focus is simplify and streamline repetitive tasks. So it's a very quick way of modeling business processes. For example, receive an email, take the information that's on the email, add it manually to a system. We can automate all of that within Power Automate. And further to that, the slightly more complex world is it opens the door to enhanced robotic process automation, AI within the cognitive services pre-built within the Microsoft platform. So it can be very simple, but also very powerful. The example we've got on the screen here is an animation that shows a simple use case. It's less visual compared to Power BI, of course, but this embedded video shows us receiving a tweet from to the company's direct message. Then it sets off a trigger that automatically sends a reply. We can then take that tweet, add it into our dynamic CRM system, add it as a lead, take the key information from that contact and drop it into Dynamics. When that happens, it sends a second trigger, which then notifies our sales team channel to say, new lead has been added, action on person A to contact that individual. So a very simple use case, but you can see there how that may have been, either fell through the gaps and been missed, or alternatively could have been a process that's taken somebody 10, 15 minutes at a time, which is automated in a click of a button. Again, so to summarise, I hope that was a succinct overview to the art of the possible and some really simple use cases of how we can get started using the Power Platform. But yeah, I'm going to hand you back over to Sam now just to finish off with on the opportunity.
Thank you. So these are some of the top-level statistics that Microsoft release now. We do this presentation in front of clients weekly, and we keep having to go back in and getting new statistics because they seem to keep going up. But what we would say is we see this in our clients on a day-to-day basis. It's all well and good saying 125 hours saved per user per year, but we truly see that when we deploy it within clients. And it's very much a case of the return on investment is huge, and the actual barrier to get started is very low. As we said previously, it's empowering the end users to solve their own problems and increase efficiency is what creates these numbers here. It's not necessarily just getting in a large consulting organisation and relying on them to drive this forward. This is very much an organisation. It's a cultural-driven thing to allow people to feel empowered, to feel like they can change their day, to feel like that they don't have to continuously do this manual process. So that, like I say, that's the opportunity that we've got within each organisation. And then just to touch on adoption and deployment. One of the major questions that we always get is, right, where do you start? This is fantastic, I'd like one of them, but where do you actually get going? Within this, we will normally do kind of a piece of consultancy, but all we're looking at is complexity versus value. So at a very, very top level, all the different ways that this could be deployed, automate apps, Power BI, virtual agents, how complex does it look, and what's the value it will bring to the company? And effectively, what you'll do is you'll create a matrix of complexity versus value. And what you'll end up doing is you'll be splitting what you're going to be empowering your systems developers to do, and you'll be looking at their strategic deployments. So highly complex, highly valued, that's where you should be getting an external team in to solve that issue. High value, low complexity, that's where you should be empowering your system developers. And train the end users. And I'm not saying in regards to like continuous training, like their job isn't to become a Power Automate developer. They have their own job title, they have their own role, but put them on a learning path. Let them understand how it's used and drip feed the technical know-how into the system developers, and they will drive this forward. They are very much the key to the success of the adoption of Power Platform. And the main thing is just to get started. Everyone says like, right, okay, this is brilliant, but how do you get going? Just get started. Use a simple Excel CSV, take the CSV, fire up a Power BI desktop and start having a go. Become familiar with the platforms. Encourage people, for lack of a better phrase, to play with these tools, to understand these tools. Because the more you do that, the more the return on investment, the more innovation that you'll generate at the level where you can really make a difference. You can't drag the team kicking and screaming forward. You have to have buy-in from the team. And the way that you do that, a minimum viable product, as you saw in Power Apps then, can be built within 2-3 hours to then exemplify what you're trying to achieve. So when you go into a meeting, instead of saying, I'd like to do this, it's have a look at what I built in a couple of hours. What do you think about this? And then everyone gets excited about it and you start to drive it forward. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. We only got a 20-minute slot and we could talk for another couple of hours on this. So if anyone's got any further questions, we're going to hang around afterwards, or feel free to, and some awful pictures there as well, but feel free to take our contact details down, drop us an email, let's have a call, because like I say, 20 minutes is just very much scratching the surface of Power Platform. Thank you very much for your time.